Good morning, YouTube. This is Life Raising Grandboys. So this morning, we're going to attempt to encourage you this morning. We're going to read from 1 Samuel, 3rd chapter. And this is when God was calling a young child Samuel. So, he was a young child. And, when you're young, you really don't know who's calling or don't know the voice of God that clear as a child. And I believe this is Samuel's first time where God was calling him. And he not, being a child, he don't know, who's calling, who was that was calling. And that even happens to the best of us as being adults. When we're trying to find God for ourselves and, trying to learn his voice. He calls us, and trust me, we don't answer the first time neither. He keeps calling, just he kept calling Samuel until Samuel found out that was actually God that was calling him. And as an adults, we do the same thing. We may not know exactly who that is, but somebody's trying to get your attention. Somebody's trying to make you change your life around. So let's just go ahead and read from Samuel 3rd chapter. And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli. And the word of the Lord was precious in these days. There was no open vision. And it came to pass at the time when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see. He was really tired. Eli was really, really tired. And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep, that the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here am I. Now that was the first time God called him. Okay. And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I call not, lay down again. And he went and lay down. So the first time God called Eli didn't know who he was. Not God, but Samuel thought it was Eli. So he went to Eli. That was the only person that was right there. And that's just like us. We could be standing in the living room it happened to me. You could be doing something around the house and you hear somebody say Ned or Andrea. You get startled, like looking around like, hey, who is that? Trying to figure out who was that calling you, and you in the house by yourself. Ain't nobody else in the house with you. You get scared. So you don't see nobody, so you continue to just doing what you're doing. So let's go. And it said, and he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I call not, lay down again. And he went and lay down. And the Lord called yet again, Samuel. The second time God called him. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I call not, my son, lie down again. Now, just imagine you being a child and this is happening to you. You feel like you're going crazy, sitting up here like, who is this keep calling me? And I keep going, if I'm trying to figure out who this is. And they keep saying, I ain't call you. And somebody called you and you going to family members, did you call me? And they like, no, I ain't call you. You just going crazy. No, I ain't going crazy. I know somebody called me. And I'm quite sure this is how this baby was acting. Samuel, you keep saying you ain't calling me, but somebody's calling my name. What are you talking about? So Eli told him again, go ahead. I ain't call you. Lay down. And I know this baby in his mind like, somebody's calling me. I don't believe he had a bad attitude. Probably had a good attitude when that keep happening to him. But it's just a simple fact. I know I ain't going crazy. I know I hear somebody calling me. So he went back and he laid down. And now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. This is verse 7. First Samuel, the 3rd chapter, verse 7. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him. And it's just like, us. When we try to reach, or when we trying to know God for our own self, for our own personal reasons, and it's like trying to find out something, it's new to you because you don't know, you haven't ever really had any spiritual being trying to talk to you. But when you're trying to seek God and trying to hear His voice, these things happen. You might think it's somebody calling you, but it's really God trying to get your attention, trying to tell you, hey, where you at? I'm here. What do you want from me? Sometimes God calls you to get before Him, to read, talk to me. I haven't heard from you today. Well, hey, I'm right over here. Nat, my child, I heard you. Because I know one time it happened to me when I was in there. I was doing something. I don't know what I was doing. And you just heard this voice just as clear as day. I heard you, my child. And I'm like, who is this? And it's like, I realized, wow, I heard you, my child. That was God talking to me, telling me I heard you the first time. That was, it was shocker, but it happens. So sometimes we may be going through in our tests and our trials, and things get real hard, beating up on you, and your mind is here and there, and it's just all over the place. And when it's like that, you're not hearing God. You're not hearing. All thing you hearing is what you thinking, and God is way in the back, way back there. You're not hearing Him. And God in the background, wait a second, you leaving me? I'm here. Pull yourself together so you can hear me. So let's go back. And it said in verse 8, and saying the Lord called Samuel again the 3rd time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, go, lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou speakest, that thou shalt say, speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood and called as at another time, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, speak, for thy servant heareth. And sometimes it takes a couple of times for you to hear God. And for your mind to actually register that God is really actually talking to your heart and talking to you, that you left me. Way back then when this test hit you and you couldn't figure out and this things is just beating up on your brain and you trying to figure this out and you trying to figure that out. God, like, no, I still need to be in the midst of all of this. I still need you to listen to me. Even in the midst of your tests and your trials, you're going through on your job, in the home with your husband, dealing with your children. It's just numerous of things, bills and all of this stuff. And sometimes you can get so bombarded down with these things, you just don't hear God in the midst of all of that. And God don't want that to happen. Even though you're going through, God still want to be in the midst. God still want to be in the front of everything. He still wants you to listen to him. And the important thing is when this happens, you got to listen to him because you can make a mistake that'll mess you up. So as long as you're keeping God first in everything that you're doing, then you'll be able to hear him. You'll be able to know what directions he's trying to tell you to go through. You know how to deal with the situation that's at hand, and it'll give you such peace in your heart and in your mind. You don't have to be bummed down. You don't have to be worrying and crying and woe is me if you keep God first. See, God wants you to keep him first. He don't want to have to keep calling you and calling you and calling you so you can hear what he's saying or trying to tell you. And I know in my stuff, my personal stuff, I could get bogged down with some stuff. And it didn't get to the point where I don't hear God like I should, or like I need to, or like God want me to hear him. I be trying to put my hands and stuff, trying to fix it and trying to work it out. And God like, wait a second, you messing this up. You're not listening. Stop doing what you're doing and just listen. Calm your nerves. Calm yourself down. So it's very important for us as we follow God, as God working with us, God will put us in a place where he'll make you listen. He'll make you stop doing what you're doing so you can listen. And sometimes you don't want that place. So it's best that we listen and keep him first in the forefront of everything so we can listen and we can hear him directing our path and showing us how to do X, Y, and Z. So Samuel, he was a child, he was learning God's voice. But when he learned it, trust me, he kept that front and center. You know, so it's good for us to keep him in front. So God was taking Samuel somewhere. God was showing Samuel that there's something's gonna come. So when you go down, after Samuel had said, "Yes, Lord, I heareth," and it said, and the Lord said to Samuel, "Behold, I will do a thing in Israel." God is telling Samuel something. Now just imagine if Samuel didn't stop and listen. Just imagine if Samuel kept going back and forth, asking so X, Y, and Z. Did you call me? Samuel would never know what God was intending to do. And it said, "Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ear and everyone that hear it shall tingle." So God was finna do something. And he was having Samuel to hear it. Well, he wanted Samuel to hear it. And I'm quite sure there's a reason why God wanted Samuel to hear it. And it said, "In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make it end." So God was telling Samuel, hey, something's going to happen in Eli's house. And if you don't listen and get yourself in a place where God can help you to get out, God will make that example to you too. He was telling Samuel, what he put and started from the beginning, he's going to make it end. He said, Eli, all things which I have spoken concerning his house, Eli's house, when I begin, I will also make it end. So whatever part of your life God make a beginning of, God can also put an end to it. God could bless you to the point where you won't be worrying about anything. But if you mess up, God could put an end to it as well. And it said, "For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves veil, and he restraineth them not." So God was telling Samuel, you in a place I need to let you hear, because Eli is not correcting sin. And if sin lies at your doorstep and you don't correct it, God's going to make an end to it. God going to make sure everybody and their mama knows what you have done. So there's a reason why God was calling Samuel. Not to just talk to him, but to show him. And that's a lot of time with us. God will show us things, and that God wants us to prepare ourselves for. And if we don't listen or we don't hear him, we can make shipwreck as well. So it's important that we listen to God and that we keep God first in all things that we do and say. So we can hear him, he could show us, and he could direct us how to deal with things and how to work things through the right way. So we won't be like Eli. God can make you good in the beginning, but he also will put an end to that at the end. So we want God to keep blessing us. We want God to keep showing us and talking to our hearts. So God won't put an end to us. So just a little encouragement. Just a little encouragement. Just keep listening and keep God first. So remember, God loves you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Bye.